What's up, everybody? It's Patrick from WP Builder Helper, and in today's video we're going to be discussing Bricks, the brand new page builder on the market. These seem to come out a lot, but today we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about both the good things and the bad things. This is going to be a first impressions video, so it's not going to be very long. I'm going to dive in a little bit later, so I'll get into more of the details that you guys want, but I've been seeing a lot of questions in the community, and I thought I can answer them off the top of my head because they've been answered in other community kind of forums and posts. So I wanted to take and answer those for you and just get them out the way right off the bat before we even dive into anything else. But I also want to keep you open-minded about Bricks without any assumptions, without anything. We're going to look at the data later because that's going to come. But for right now, I want you to keep an open mind with anything. You never want to be negative about something that's brand new. This is a brand new builder. Give it time. So with that, let's get started. All right, guys, so here we are. We're on the Bricks website, and this is the brand new builder that's launched. And you can see that they're they have a lifetime license that they're doing for a limited time, which is pretty cool. But they say create your site visually, more of the same things that you would get. But here's where it gets a little bit different. Bricks is touting that they're one of the fastest builders available right now. And they show this like little speed comparison, which is pretty cool. They've got rank higher, maximize sales, user experience. They're definitely tapping into a good time to be on the market, because right now with everything going on with Google, people are looking for a way to take and finally basically just beat the speed game, and they're not seeing it with Elementor. They're not seeing it with some of these older page builders. And so they're coming out with all of this stuff. They've got a smart asset lazy loader. They've got a disable scripts. They've got font loading as needed. All of these things are good things to a designer's, ears. And then they do this comparison. Now, this is where things start to go a little bit funky. So the first thing I noticed with this comparison is you're comparing it to bigger themes, which is cool, okay? But you compare it to Visual Composer? Why? I mean, they're not even in the game right now for me, as far as I'm concerned. I think that this was terrible. Why isn't Beaver Builder on that list? Why isn't Oxygen? Why isn't anything? I mean, this speed comparison, if you're going to compare it to something, compare it to everything that's out there. I mean, so that for me is an issue. Why did they only compare it? Like, I like that they added these. I'm not real impressed that they added Visual Composer. That's literally like beating up someone with their arms tied behind their back. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, everybody beats Visual Composer. That's not touting anything. And am I surprised that they're the lowest? No. I mean, come on. At this point, this didn't even need to be in here. So this doesn't make any sense. These do. And I agree with this. I mean, I think that this is realistic because Elementor is faster than Divi. I've got my page builder speed test that's up later that I'll show you, but that's 100% true. So, they're offering this license right now. They've got a $59 license and they've got a $149 license, which I like. They're doing 1,000 websites. So basically a nod back to the original or the newer Elementor pricing where they were doing one website and they were doing 1,000. Pretty cool. Not bad. I mean, I think that this is fair. I don't think that this is unfair. For what they're offering, it's fair. They're going to have a WooCommerce builder in development. They've got 50 elements, so far it's got some cool things. I mean, that sounds good. Okay, you've got this. It's a brand new builder. They've got this public roadmap. They've got all this. So, you go through it, you look at it, and you can build any kind of layout you want. So it's got the theme builder. Okay, cool. So they're keeping up so far with all the builders. It's not like we're missing anything out of this. Haven't seen anything about a pop-up builder. They do have Unsplash integration. That's a nod to Brizzy. Because Brizzy, I don't remember if Brizzy has Unsplash or one of the builders has some kind of Unsplash integration. So that's pretty cool. That's nice. You can go grab these pictures off of Unsplash. They've got some image editing with the CSS filters. That's pretty normal at this point. Almost every builder's got this. There's very few that don't have this. Gradient overlays, same thing. Very few builders don't have this. I'm surprised that they're mentioning this. Hold on one second. I'm surprised that they're mentioning this. It seems rather weird that they would even talk about that, but in videos everywhere, I mean, everyone can do that too. It's not really, I mean, this is, now this gets interesting. The custom color palettes, I like this. In most builders, they limit the color palettes that you get. So this I thought was really, really cool. I was very impressed with the fact that you can build this color palette out, and I want to play with this more. So this is going to be one of the first things I want to jump into. Shape dividers, everybody's got shape dividers. I am curious whether you can add shape dividers to just rows and columns and things like that rather than just sections. I'm going to be interested to see if that works. Not sure how that works. You've got some CSS transformations, which you have with pretty much every builder. Not sure how these work either. I'm going to be interested to see if you can build them like you have this as an animation. Now, if you're an Elementor fan, you know that this is usually like a separate element. I'm curious how this works in here. Like, can you just basically animate text? Which I guess you could do in Oxygen too, but I don't know. It would be very cool if that's included in and you can just animate text without having to build something. You can see they've got SVG support. You can also reset the styles. This was very interesting, and I like this. I was looking through their videos, and you can actually reset their pages and delete everything off the page with a button. I don't, you know, at first I was like, wow, that's original. I haven't seen that before. That's pretty cool. That's more, it's more impressive than what you think. There's some sidebar creation, so, you know, not a whole lot on this page. Once again, I mean, they've got some cool things that are in here. I'm really interested in that color. And then you've got full site editing, dynamic data. Now that is cool. They're already including the fact that you can work with plugins like Advanced Custom Fields, Pods, Metabox, CMP2, and other custom fields. That's cool. So right off the bat, they've already got dynamic data in it. That's a huge catch up. So usually you don't see that. You've also got this truly responsive editing that's in here, which is just basically saying, okay, we can edit, like you can edit on almost any device. One thing that I like is they do actually have this where it's turned sideways and you can see what your website would look like when the iPhone or Android or anything like that is turned sideways. That's pretty original too. Not too many people have that. It's got the fonts. This is all the same. Create your own templates. It's neat. No lock-in effect. This is a big one. This is a very big one. People hate lock-in effects. Control builder access. This is normal. Brizzy does this. Elementor does this. Almost everybody does this. Header and footer builder. This is normal. Make it your own. So it's got a dark mode and a light mode. It's pretty cool for the builder. And it's got some optimizations that you can add in here. You've got pin, you know, structure view and searchable controls and pin elements and all of this. So it's got a lot of things going for it. So, okay, so we've talked about some of the good things. Let's talk about what's going on the back end. So over in Maritech Wise Forms, basically someone had posted, hey, look, this is going on. They're launching 40% discount. Founder's a happy files guy, and they start going into it. So there was a comment, and I believe it was made on this form. It was either made here or it was made in somewhere. A lot of people had sent him messages, Thomas messages, and they didn't get replies back from him. But he's talking about everything going on, how you could build ideas. He's going to be building it from the community. So basically, he's using the community as a good thing, which is all good things. We all like that type of things. Also, people sharing the Google page speed insights, which are good. They're coming out at 99. Pretty cool. Awesome. So there's a lot of good coming from this. I sent some feedback to him. I sent an email to him, never heard back from him. Not feedback, but I just wanted to ask him some questions, never heard anything back. I'm sure he's busy right now with the launch of this and everything like that. So in here, you can see this is me, and I ask, what's your competitive advantage? I mean, we've got Oxygen, Zion Builder, Live Canvas, and others. What are you doing differently with your builder, basically? And he never really answered that, so that was a little bit. But like I said, I'm sure he's just busy, and he just didn't have any time. So one of the things that I got a little bit scared over was this. This is it. It says there's a 370 KB file that seems to load every time bricks min.js that is loaded by default, even if you don't use those elements. From what we saw in things loaded like swiper, parallax, waypoints, just one big file. Would this be a JS file loading working differently than other page builders? And he says, yes, that JS file is always loaded, but it's cached on subsequential calls. And I even said that wrong. Together with our own lazy load, basically is lazy loading, the WP script disabler, here's the sort of speed results you can aim at. So he's basically saying if you're using what they're doing, you know, and people are already saying, oh my God, 370 KB JS, oh my God, like the eyes are big. And then he kind of goes in here, and this guy is actually from Oxygen. He's one of the Oxygen admins. And he kind of says, well, why are you doing it this way, essentially? He says, you know, why are you building it like this? And he basically comes back and he says, the reason why he loads it one time, or why he thinks he's loaded, is right here. He says, if you've got a complex, large site with low bounce rates where people visit the page on an average 5 to 10 pages, then serving one 300 kilobyte JS file once that is now cached is going to result in a lower total file size being requested than serving it 10 JS files that are each 100 KB each. Otherwise, he's basically saying that you're going to keep loading these files if you were going to put them on the pages. So essentially, he thinks it's a better solution, but he says he'll definitely be interested to see how we incorporate some kind of separate CSS, JSS file serve system. So he's looking at what's going on, but some people here say, please consider the other approach. Lots of speed folks don't want a big file to be loaded on all the pages, especially if we don't use those functionalities on the page. So that's the first negative thing, because even David McCann, who's another, you know, somebody who's all the ways around, these days, the type of optimizations is no longer optional. These days, this type of optimization is no longer optional. There are also types of plugins that do this now. It's a best practice, so there's plenty of examples to see how it's done. And I can't say that I disagree with him. I mean, you're going for speed and you're touting that you're one of the faster builders, but I don't know. I have to see it in practice first. Then we go to Oxygen, okay? So Super Mike, as you all know, is a user of Oxygen, or maybe you don't know. Super Mike, I should say. And he always does these speed comparisons. So if we go to here, you'll see a speed comparison of basically which builder is the lowest in CSS plus JS and what their total combined KB is. Okay. Now, this does not mean anything. Okay. There's been lots of people who have come out on Brizzy and they've said this is a garbage test because it doesn't mean anything, because it doesn't really take in consideration anything. He's just comparing how big the CSS and the JSS is. However, I think to some extent he is right. The bigger these files are, the longer it takes your site to load. And so when you're looking at this, you can easily see that Bricks actually ranks much higher than Zion Builder or even Live Canvas. And of course, he says Oxygen loads the lowest because it has no JavaScript that starts, and either does Gutenberg. So really, he's saying Oxygen is like, oh, they're the king. Now, here's where I kind of tend to disagree with this. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I tend to disagree with it. Because when I did my page speed test, I put Oxygen Builder to the test against just Cadence Base, which was just the Cadence theme. Oxygen Builder on mobile loaded slower than Cadence Base with a picture, a header, and I think a button. That's what I tested each and every one of these. And some people have mentioned on the form back here that this builder loads exceptionally fast on mobile. Now, if that's true, if you remember the video I did back, I'll link it up above in the comments. When you go through all of this, and I've got all of this on the WP Builder Helper website, so you can go to it and you can see the latest. It's called Gutenberg versus everybody, but I've got all this data. When you go and you look, most page builders do an adequate job at desktop. They do fine. But when you look at mobile, this is where the page builders struggle, and this is where things like Gutenberg and most of these Gutenberg blocks just slaughter them. Live Canvas did exceptionally well, but you start looking at Beaver Builder, they're going on 3 seconds. Elementor was almost going on 4 and 5 seconds. Thrive Architect, 4 and 5 seconds. Brizzy, about 5 seconds. And this is just loading, like I said, a picture, a header, and a button. That's it. But you can already see that the cadence base is much, much lower. So the base is just giving you an idea of how much time is added on this. This has always been somewhere that I think page builders struggle. I'm not even sure how Live Canvas did it so well, but somehow they came lower than the base. So I take this kind of stuff with a grain of salt, because you can look at this. These aren't true tests. I ran true tests. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with how he's comparing this. This is great. I love seeing the divs. I love seeing how many divs for a heading. I think that that's awesome. And I think that this is very, very good in terms of like the way that they built this out. I think that this is good. But I'm curious, where does it rank on this? And this is what I'm going to need to test. I'm going to need to throw it on a website, hopefully keep all the conditions the same, use cadence as the base or use something as the base, and then basically test it out and see where it ranks. And that's where the live test comes in. This was a shared hosting, and this is what these builders ranked. And they just did not do very well, except for when you came to Gutenberg blocks. And Gutenberg blocks did exceptionally better than most of these. I mean, exceptionally better. So there were a couple times where Oxygen beat a couple of them just because it was a little bit higher, like with Quibbly and Gitwid. It beat it a little bit. But, I mean, you know, once again, that's not necessarily the truth either. That's just telling one side of the story. Depends on how you build this and what happens with it. So let's go back to full screen and we'll talk about my very first impressions of this builder. So I guess at this point, I mean, you're at the end of the video, you're probably wondering, what does all this mean? This page builder comes at a weird time. It comes at a good time. I think it's excellent marketing because it's hitting at a time where people are questioning their own page building efforts. You're having some big YouTubers out there who are throwing out page builders completely, and you've got other people who are saying, you know what, I'm sticking with my page builder no matter what. I don't care what Google does. So it depends on what side of the fence you're on. Either you're someone who is worried about speed and you truly think that page builders are bringing you down, in which case you move to Gutenberg, or you're somebody who says, speed matters and I care about it, but maybe I don't care about it as much as these people do. Maybe I just want my site to be fast, but I'm not always chasing the numbers. And I think that there's some people that don't even care about anything and they're just not looking at any of this, in which case you're probably not watching this video to begin with. But the point is, you cannot deny that when this new Google update comes out, it is changing the game. When people start seeing those numbers drop, when people have Elementor websites that are taking, or Divi websites for that matter, that are taking 8 seconds to load, and Google goes, those people are going to start looking for other page builders, especially if they are affiliate marketers, bloggers, anyone who relies on Google traffic. Now, if you're someone who doesn't rely on Google traffic, you're probably not going to care, in which case this builder is not going to be for you because you're not going to care about it. If you're someone who's building websites for people, you might want to look into this. This might be a cool alternative for you to use with all of the licensing crap that's going on right now and everybody paying so much for licensing. It's one of the few builders that finally comes out that has a decent price. It's $150 for a license. it's a pretty good deal. I mean, it's a good deal. Right now, it's a good deal. But you're also investing into the future of this. Just like I bought into it, you would be investing into the future of this builder and wherever that goes and wherever that takes them. So my recommendations for you today, if you're using Oxygen, do you switch? No, not today. Not based upon this. There's just no reason to. If you're using Elementor, do you switch? Once again, probably not. It's a good builder. There's no doubt about that. And I'm very, very honestly looking forward to seeing what is done in the future and how it develops. But it's too fresh to judge it against something. It's not even a fair competition. This just came out. We need to see over the next year 3 specific things happen. We need to see the development cycles. We need to see the number of people working on it and how fast they're working on it. And we also need to see what innovations they do to it within the next year. It's a brand new builder. When Brizzy first came out, it was in the trash because you couldn't do anything. And now, years later, it's much better than it was before. When Oxygen first came out, it sucked. All of that matters. So the point is, would I jump ship to just go and use this today? I mean, I'll use it. I'm going to use it. I think it's cool, but I don't know. To me, it's weird. It's like a love child of different builders, and it's trying to make a name for itself, but does it have a competitive advantage? If speed's the only thing that's going for it, I don't know where that's going to bring it. Because in all honesty, when you're looking at the speed results, I'm really hoping when I do my test, it turns out differently, but I guess that will remain to be seen. So we'll have to see what happens. But for right now, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to deep dive into it later and really give you my full impressions. I will see you guys later. Peace.